was. Yes, there we go. So we're about to go into round 9. So not to be the hardest of left turns into topic, but this is a super, super important round, not only because it's our last round, but we are probably going to talk about the bubble a few times because we talked about it last time and it's something very, very
Mhm.
important. But basically, how you get in is based on how many points you have. So right now, looking at the standings, we have 2 players with 22 points. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with 21 points, 2 with 19 points, and then just a ton with 18 points. So there are 8 spots in the top 8, which means that these players need to win. A win gets you 3 points. So anyone with, I mean, yeah. So basically, the people with 21 points, I don't think anybody can. I mean, maybe people with 22. You'll hear people say we're going to do an intentional draw, which means they're like, I'm good with where I'm at and I'll just go to 23 points. So the people with 22, they may intentional draw, but even then, knowing that there's so many people with 21 points, I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if people. Okay, so 2 tables did do an intentional draw. Um, but everybody else has to try, which means it's going to be very hard to get into this top 8 looking at the point distribution.
Yeah. So probably the 2 tables that did so were the ones with the 701. So 7 win, 0 loss,
Yep.
1 draw. And that makes sense. So that means both of them are having like 23 points, 22. Is that? Yeah, it's 23 and 22 respectively. And then we have like potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, and
So the
I'll quickly show because I know we're about to get into the
yeah.
match, but yeah. So basically, the way it breaks down right now is, and I put the link to the melee in the chat because I know this is something people care about a lot. Is so we know that these 2 tables up here, they said I'm good. I'm gonna sit there with 23, 23, 22, 22, and they said everybody else, good luck. And so some surprising things can happen. It can come down to tiebreakers, but winning is imperative. You are not going to make it in the top 8 if you don't win this match. So Zan is going to be fighting. Both of these players are going to be fighting as hard as they can to get in, one more win here.
So there's a lot of players at 18 points.
Yes, it's
It goes
rough.
to the 39th, no, 40th position. Like it's huge. And we're cutting to top 8. That is like a really small portion of the players in there. So I believe the cut will be at. Uh, so we have the top 4, and we have 26 that could 3 that could potentially go to 24, and we have some people that might go to 22. That means, yeah, there might be 121 going into the top cut. Maybe. But most probably it will be 22 points to make it.
Yeah, and keep in mind the pricing goes to the top 16. So even if you don't make the top 8, you win $150 if you are placed 9 through 16. So people are still going to play because I'd like $150. That is a whole box of Disney Lorcana and some if you get a nice price at $120 per box from a nice vendor locally. So top 8 is what you want because those are where the big prizes are. Namely, top prize is $4,250. Second place is $2,250. Third through fourth is $1,250. Fifth through eighth is $700. So obviously top 8 is a lot more fun and you got to keep playing. But I'd take $150. So everybody still, even if you bubble out, there could be, the pain would be softened with someone handing me $150.
Yeah. Let's see. What are the rounds, the matches? So draw. Oh, we have.
Are
That
lots,
is unexpected.
are lots of people drawing? Oh, yeah, 3 draws so far. So,
Yeah, I would have expected 2 draws.
Well, maybe they're tired. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I can't ever figure out that part. I'm very keep playing kind of person. But this matchup, apparently, they said someone in the chat just mentioned that uh, Ashik is a local to where Zan plays. Possibly, they said local, so this is like a nice match to have as the last match, or not, because it does feel bad when you have to knock out somebody but it also can take off the edge a little bit. And they said he's a cool guy. So
Yeah.
if I had to play against somebody for the final cut, I'd want to play against a cool guy. So I'm gonna drop some Zans in the chat. So yeah, we'll see. Is it a mirror match? No, because we already see a Captain Hook. But it is Sapphire Steel versus Sapphire Steel. But the Captain Hook lets us know it's not a mirror. This could be a more Kiwi focused deck, which I hate that term so much. But essentially, Kiwi is not super item focused. It's basically not Zan's deck. It's usually something that's going to have Alice. It's going to have Low to the Ground, more focused on questing. So when I see what I see on Ashik's side, I'm thinking it's a Kiwi. Is that what you're thinking as well? Or is there a chance that it's still more towards Zan's deck?
It's too soon to say it, but the Captain Hook could be maybe a one or two ups in a control deck in Sapphire Steel, or it could really be the Kiwi version. So
yeah, we'll see what
to
this
this
card.
day, I don't remember what does Kiwi stand
That's why
for.
I don't like it, because how confusing is it? But I've heard if you see Alice, it's Kiwi. If you don't have Alice, it's not Kiwi. But I mean, right now, yeah, it's too hard to tell, because I mean, oh, so we see Benja, which is a card that a lot of people have added to their decks because item removal is nice. And in this case, he gets to do a challenge into the bell. Why did the bell? Oh no, bell. Sorry, wasn't saying. Pete sang, because I always forget Pete is an excellent singer. So Pete gets to deal 3 damage to that bell. Benja took care of the popsicle. So lots of board state checking on Ashik's side to say, hey, what you're building over there, I'm gonna do my best to stop you. But Zan returns in response. So for anyone tuning in, oh sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was about to say that the Scrooge McDuck has banished Pete in a challenge, and I wonder what is the next best move, considering there's the bell into play. So it makes all tricky for Ashik to on his next turn.
Exactly. I mean, it's interesting in these kind of mirror matches, especially when at this point, both of them have a pretty good idea of what either of them are playing, because, not that everybody has deck lists, but you start to get a better idea, especially because Zan is pretty vocal about the deck he plays, especially if they're both local to each other. So they both have to think 2 steps ahead. What is favorable? What isn't? Right now, we have seen that duck do some very menacing things. We saw Ashik ink a McDuck Manor. Ooh, so we see Alice. So I think that makes this clinically a Kiwi Birds deck. But we also saw McDuck Manor. So getting rid of some of those big bodies like a Scrooge McDuck, which is ironic that we have to get rid of Scrooge McDuck so Scrooge McDuck does not tear down his own manor. But the Int is about to fire up with Alice. And Alice is one of my more favorite cards in this deck because she can grant a lot of strength to your other characters, both with providing lore and ward.
A good counter to this card is the Scrooge McDuck, who can deal with her in one swoop.
Exactly. So that, I think Ashik was very happy to make a trade to get rid of that 4/4 duck. So now that Alice can quest, because yeah, ward is great, but yeah, it does not stop you from a giant duck running at you full speed. So in this case, what Alice can do is give 1 lore to another character, and she also can give ward, which in this case, Alice doesn't do it. Ashik gives ward to Calhoun, which makes sense because if Calhoun can stay on board, then Calhoun can keep Zan's characters in check. So it's kind of, making sure that Ashik keeps that value of having a Calhoun on board and making a trade, perhaps with that bell. But we do see another Scrooge doing exactly what you said he would do and challenge into that
So,
Alice.
yeah, no hesitation there. Going right to the Alice with the Scrooge McDuck first thing. In the order.
Yeah, because I mean, she can get very out of hand. The fact that she quests for 2, she can make another character quest for 2, and then that ward. We've seen a deadly combo where Alice will give ward to a bodyguard Pluto. That is another hallmark of this deck, where Pluto is a 5/5 when he has no damage and he has bodyguard. But if you are able to deal, just a 1 piece of damage to him, he becomes a 1/5. So if you give ward to him, you essentially say, you better come at this dog. Otherwise, he will keep being a 5/5 as long as Alice is giving him that ward.
That is true, and the key, the key ability here, Bodyguard, makes it so that Alice is protected, and on top of that, Alice is a warded character, always.
Yeah, so you got to challenge into her, but it's not the worst thing in the world because she is just a 1/4. But still, she's pretty important for the combos on Ashik's side to work. And we're seeing one of Zan's power cards come down, which is the Tamatoa. Not happy as a clam. It's the so shiny, but he needs some items in order to be as shiny as he possibly can be.
Sword on the other side. That makes it so that the Calhoun survives the challenge.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about how resist is such a powerful mechanic. Calhoun has resist 1 built in, but then that Cogsworth comes down and gives another resist, so Calhoun's resist 2, and then Cogsworth himself has ward, which means that Cogsworth is probably going to stand upright until he absolutely has to quest, because he provides that blanket of resist to the other characters on board.
We are building up the item board right now to have more resources through the IRAM. And that Cogsworth means kind of a lot of trouble right now.
It is. He's kind of frustrating because you can't really do anything about him. You naturally want to just get rid of him, but you can't. And so then you have your Tamatoa that can do some damage, but Tamatoa is not necessarily a character that you want to challenge with. Now, he does have a very heavy willpower, and in this case, against Captain Hook, not the biggest deal in the world. So he's a 5/8, even with resist, not a big deal. So between Along Came Zeus and on the Calhoun, and then just challenging into that Captain Hook, Cogsworth is a little less impressive, and there is a Pete that might be a little too late to protect his friends.
Yeah, poor Pete is out of breath.
I know, he's
running
like,
late.
what'd I miss? It's like, well, you missed a lot, Pete, but he still showed up. Now, that being said, Zan is still, he's been very, very, very much on the defense this game. But there we see, last week, Zan was running a list with some different cards in it. Notably, he had Oswald, but this week he showed up. Oswald is out, Hades is in, and we have seen Hades do some incredible work this week because he was able to get to this point in the game where his opponent is putting out 1 or 2 cards at a time. Hades suddenly becomes a much more valuable card. Can't touch that Cogsworth, but he can get rid of pretty much anything else except Cogsworth and Alice. But he has done a lot of work. So I would imagine Zan feels pretty good about switching from Oswald to Hades because he's been able to get quite a lot of items without that Oswald. Do you think he probably would stand behind his decision to make that switch?
Yeah, I think so because as much as you would like to have that extra value engine. I think controlling the board for the value engine, the other value engine you have in your deck is more important. And this switch in deck making is really relevant.
And that's the coolest part about seeing Zan last week to this week is it shows that this meta it's not done. I mean, we are on this is weekend 3. The set literally came out 2 weeks and 2 days ago, so we are watching people in real time build and react to the meta. Meta, I always say, is a term that is fluid. It changes literally every tournament. The meta is never done. It used to be the meta is pretty slow, but now I feel like it's quite fast, and we have seen all the decks change a little bit from last weekend to this weekend.
That's true. Well, in the past, we've known from chapter 3, I would say, chapter 4 is slower changes to the meta, as there were more really strong decks, but also it was the first year of Lorcana. Like, people are trying to organize plays, tournaments, and we had the DLCs at that moment, but it was those big moments where we see like a big explosion, evolution, and changes, and then we had like a status quo for some time, and then the building of decks again. So now I think it goes day to day, the content creation is there, the coverage of multiple events makes it so that people see a lot of options out there.
Yeah, and I mean, my favorite thing has been seeing people go through their bulk. I mean, I imagine they're not going through their bulk; they're looking at an app or a website. But still, I like to imagine going through their bulk and seeing these objects like Shield of Arendelle, and I think you mentioned Sword of Truth. There's another one item, but there's just items that we kind of are like, whatever, they're just items. And now it's like, wait a minute, there's cards that are much more powerful now. So unfortunately, we do see that Zan got the pressure on. And we do have to go. Not have to go. We are going to go to game 2.
That happy Tamata really made it so that we could foresee a dime with multiple items and the Tamata questing for a lot with the rest of the board, while Ashik had only the cogsword in play, and you don't want to exert the cogsword unless you're already applying pressure and going for the win.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough having a character that's just an item, but unfortunately, he has to stay upright. You got to protect him.
Yeah, I will take that opportunity to.
You need a personal few minutes?
Yeah, I need a personal few minutes.
Okay, I'll be here.
Neck is stiff, so I'll be back.
So to everyone in the chat right now, thank you for watching. Because, I know there's 2 matches going on. This is the Zan fan cam. So I appreciate everyone that is watching. We're about to go to game 2. Ashik will be on the play, which on a more aggro-centered deck can tilt things a little bit into his favor. So very excited to see that. But I just wanted to take time to say thank you so much. I mentioned this before, but I'm going to be doing a giveaway this week. I'm going to post more. I'll make a post on here. I'll make a post on Twitter and Bluesky and all that, but I'm going to give away the pins from this set. So I'm going to give away the Mad Hatter and the Bolt and the Amber pin, as well as the set of the promos. And if I get to 200 followers, which I'm 5 away, I'm going to be giving away a copy of the promo 4 dozen eggs, which now that I said 4, I'm wondering if that's the right amount of dozens of eggs. But either way, the promo from, someone just followed. So now we just need like 4 more, but we'll do a giveaway of the Gaston promo. So that'll be on Tuesday. I'll post what time that is and how you enter. You basically will just have to be in the chat. But either way, we are going into game 2. So enough about me, more about you guys. So in the chat, I'd love to hear, do you think that Zan has this matchup cinched down? Do you think Zan's on fire after that last match where he is locked in? And then the other thing is, do we think that there's a chance he can bubble in? I mean, it's going to be really hard looking at the rounds. I'm refreshing Melee. I also put Melee in the chat, so if you guys want to scroll up, you can see some of them. But of the people who are playing, there are 4 tables, 8 players that did an intentional draw, which I will not say whether that is good or bad or not, but let's see. We have someone would go to 23. I'll do the math. Well, I won't make you guys listen to me do math. That's heinous. That's foul behavior. But we do see Ashik go ahead and turn 1 play nothing, which feels really bad in this style deck. You want to go fast, and we see that Zan is able to get out the ideal turn 1 where you get on an item to draw a card and then you play the bell. As Dan in the chat just pointed out, we're probably just playing for top 16 here, which is, yeah, looking at the points, it's rough. I mean, there is a lot of points at the top. It's a pretty tight distribution. But like I said, I take $150. In fact, you know, if anybody wants to give me that, I'd take it. But I didn't play, so I'm not going to get 8th through 16th place, or rather 9th through 16th. So yeah, round 2 loss for Zan was rough. But either way, he's still playing. He's still showing us how this deck can work. But Ashik's still having a really rough start. This is really rough. So to Perudo PR, yes, this is round 9, last round of Swiss. We cut to the top 8 after this, but rest assured, the pricing goes to top 16. So Zan is still playing for a chance at, I'll say there's still a chance. There's always a chance. Not a great chance, but there's a chance he could get into the top 8, knowing that there's some intentional draws going on and everybody else has got 19 points and he is sitting at 18 points. It's going to be tough, but pricing does go to the top 16. So last round of Swiss. After this, we will find out who our top 8 will be. We'll find out what those decks are. I will be spamming people that are at the tournament to say, what are the top 8 ink colors? Because that's what I care about the most. Because I just want to see, because I've been in tunnel vision of blue steel. It can't be all blue steel. But watching Zan in this turn, this is going to be turn 3, and we are finally seeing Ashik maybe play some character. It's not great. It's hard to come back. We've seen Zan has a very, very, very powerful top end on his deck. So we do see Alice deploy, but it'd be really cool if there was a Smee and a captain with her, and we just don't see that right now. But never say it's over till it's over. But Ashik is probably feeling pretty rough. It's rough to not get something on the board with you have a character aggro deck. Now, he did get an item, which gets you to draw a card, which feels pretty good. So after this, top 8, then there'll be 3 more rounds, and then we will know who our Charlie's Collectible Showcase champion of the 13K will be. All right, so we do get to see another Belle come into play. That Belle has been a menace this season because she can come into play for free if you go ahead and banish an item. But as we know with Tamatoa, happy as a clam, he is happy as a clam to go into the recycling bin and go get some of those items back out. He is an eco warrior, and he is going to go get those items. Anything you put in the banish, he can go get back for you as far as items go. So it is actually sometimes nice to get these bells out, especially because how those bells are going to be able to challenge into Alice. Alice is a 1/4. She has ward, but she is not immune to Belle just pulling up and saying, let's go ahead and challenge this out. Hiram comes into play and does go ahead and take the Fortisphere into the banish pile so he can draw 2 more cards and see if he can build up a nice healthy board to hopefully get some kind of offensive against Zan, which has been slow going here. Yeah, he's an eco-friendly guy. He's just going in. He's like, I will get one man's trash is another man's treasure. But he's also making his own trash. But I appreciate him. He's really thinking about just being as environmentally friendly as possible. So Zan has been having a little bit of a better time here. We do see him play that happy as a clam, getting those 2 Fortispheres out of the discard. We see him ramp with that Fishbone Quill, which has been giving him that edge too. He's sitting there at 6 ink while Ashik only has 4. So the odds are not in Ashik's favor, especially because we've mentioned this many, many, many times over the past few days and weeks, is that steel decks are strong, but it's about challenging and spot removal. You don't have those really cool board wipes that Ruby has. And by that really cool, you mean like the giant Sisu empowered sibling or Be Prepared. You just have to work at that removal. And when you have a 1-4 and a 1-6 on the board, that removal becomes a little bit harder to do. Now that Alice will be able to give Hiram ward if she chooses to quest. The problem with that is now we have 2 3/3s and a 4/5 with Tamatoa on the board. So the minute that Alice turns sideways, unless he's able to play a Pluto here, she is in deep danger. It's a very, very happy challenge for Zan because 1 damage, not so bad. Instead, he goes ahead and plays, well, we don't know what he has in hand, but he does go ahead and play a Benja to get rid of the Fishbone, which is good in the sense that, yes, a crab can get that back any moment, but that Fishbone is ramping for Zan, and we know Hades has been a big problem. We got Panics back in the chat. I agree. Ashik has had 2 turns where he played just 1 Fortisphere, and he didn't play a card until turn 3 of an Alice, and an Alice with nothing to do. And now she's sideways. It's bad. I hear Clara going, and are you spamming the panic in the chat too?
I could.
Yeah, I think it could. I mean, he's doing a good job cleaning up the board a little bit, but we just know Zan is sitting here with more lore, more cards, and more bigger bodies. That was a very efficient use, though, with the getting rid of the Fortisphere, singing, and just leaving 1 Bell, because Bell by herself cannot
deal with much.
No. She can sing, but she can't sing to Alice. And she can't sing to Hiram because I'm pretty sure Hiram has ward right now. So, yeah, Ashik did a good job stabilizing, but can he keep that stabilization in a way where he can turn the momentum into his favor? Okay, so he didn't give ward to Hiram. He gave ward to Benja, which is interesting, but there's no item. So if he doesn't plan to play an item... Oh, wait, that's because sorry. She didn't, yes, Alice didn't quest. That's such a good point. Right as I said it, I was like, brain. So Alice can only give that ward if she is questing, if she is singing, if she is challenging in this case. She didn't quest, so she absolutely is not going to be able to give that ward out to anybody. But we see that pesky duck come into play, who is ready to challenge truly anyone that you turn sideways at this point. Scrooge McDuck, as we have mentioned, is a 4-cost 4/4 who he's kind of got that Irish, or not Irish, Scottish, I'll fight you attitude, and fighting he has this weekend.
This card is really valuable when you can exert 4 items to play that card for free. So we cannot say it enough, but the value engine is real with this card, and the price that goes along with it is, at this point, it is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, like we said many, many times, he gets the item. You might be able to play him for free if you have 4 items in play. And so then he gets an item into your hand, which could feed your other characters. And then he can sing all the songs that Zan has in his deck. Zeus, Storm, Strength. And then he just comes across the board and just starts slapping his little duck fins at people and dealing 4 damage. So I did want to update the whole situation as far as points go. We do see a lot, 4 tables, 8 players have intentional draws. So I'm kind of looking at the math here on what that works out to be. So if you hear a pencil going, that's me being like, I can do this. I can do math.
Oh. Okay. As expected, the two tables. Okay. That is okay. If we take a look at.
Wow. Sorry, I was impressed by. Ashik has been doing a pretty good job trying to keep Zan in check, but Zan just keeps coming back and saying, "I'm not afraid of you," which has to feel kind of frustrating on Ashik's side, where he's stabilizing, but even with that resist. And then we see two more items come back from the discard.
Okay, whenever we have a moment, I have a comment to say about the draws that were made. But
Yeah.
right now, let's focus on the game as it is right now.
Yeah, because I mean, I hate being like, it's over, but I mean, it's hard. We know that Zant has such a powerful top end on his deck between Happy as a Clam, So Shiny, Hades. Those three just work together to really bring a lot of pain to the opponent's side. We see Zan at 4, but we also know at any minute that Happy as a Clam can quest and bring out a lucky dime for free. And then that lucky dime changes the math drastically.
Ashik is questing with IRM, drawing 2 cards off the farthest sphere. And it is really good to have the Cogsworth to protect the IRM just a little bit. To make it so that there's at least 2 characters that need to challenge IRM to remove it off the board. And another Alice for probably a following turn, hoping for a Pluto bodyguard.
Yeah, that Pluto, I wish we could have seen him. I can't imagine him not running it, but I don't think we've seen him this game. Pluto can really be rough to mess with the math. But we just have not seen that little dog come out this match. But unfortunately, I mean, he has to be prioritizing what's best for the board state. In this case, he's trying to do a lot with whatever he has in hand, and he's been doing a pretty good job stabilizing. I mean, he's at 9, Zan's at 4, and he's been doing a pretty good job of getting rid of threats on the other side of the board. Namely, right now he's using the resist that Cogsworth. He's not. Cogsworth's gone. He's been gone for a while, but he's using Pete to sing, rather. Draw a card, get rid of that Scrooge, and now all we have is a Tipo and a Bell, which is not so scary. And
Yeah,
there's
Tipo
Pluto.
and Bell.
I got excited.
Pluto.
Finally, I've been waiting for you all day, but sorry, Tipo and Bell.
Yeah, going wide is the best thing to do against the Sapphire Steel control, and Ashik knows that right now and is using that to his advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that Pluto. Pluto is better if you have a Pete, because as we saw, Pluto without a Pete, all you have to do is sing "Let the Storm Rage On," making that Pluto go from a 5/5 to a 1/5. But still a problem to be dealt with. And we see Zan say, "Dang it, you got me this time." So go into game 3. And although I say that and I'm always wrong, so we better be going to game 3. Okay, they're shuffling, thank goodness, because I'm always like, there we go, he won. And they're like, no, didn't you see he had that one magical card? That means he won. But thank goodness. In this case, Ashik did some masterful stabilization. He should work in an ER because he stabilized stats and got the person back to breathing and ended up coming back from a really, really rough start. I don't know if you saw, but he didn't play. He just played a Fortisphere, and he didn't get to play a character until turn 3, and yet he was still able to manage that board out. But I wanted to kind of speak on, I've done some math, but I know you've
Mhm.
done some math too. So how are things looking for the bubble game?
Uh, yeah. I just have one comment. It is, uh, there's a match still ongoing between uh, Jonathan Lamb and Lord Logan. Um, and Lord Logan is second right now as of this round.
I thought that they went ahead. Okay, so let me go back because I was looking. Yeah, they drew. Lod Logan and Lamb Chops drew.
I just need to.
Yes, so the one on the mainstream is Frank and Lemon. It's not Lemon. It is Elman's. So they are currently. Oh goodness, where is that? Where are they?
Okay, it's just my um Sunday morning brain that is like, hey, I didn't refresh the page. Yeah, so 4 draws for the first 4 tables.
Yeah, and so okay, so the math works out where the top eight, the first 4 tables are the top eight, and it ends up being 23, and then the rest. So 2 people will have 23 points after that, and the rest will have 22. So those people are not guaranteed to get in because when we look at the math, after the top 8, there's a couple people with 21 and a couple people. Anyone with 19 is now blocked out. 19, you will. Well, actually, no, you could get in too.
Oh,
So nobody.
yeah.
The only people that are guaranteed are the 2 people with 23 points. Everybody else could bubble out at this point.
That
Right?
is true.
Yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
so kind of crazy. But now we're talking about 2 people in this match. We're watching Zan and Ashik, which Zan going into this round was sitting at 26th place with 18 points. So not a chance, unfortunately, for him. And then Ashik would have the same amount of points, 18 points. So really, anybody with 19, I think, could get in. But 18, no, that would not work. But they could still get top 16. So that's, I don't want to be like, give up, go home. But yeah, he was at 19 and wanted to go to 22 also. So yeah, the 19 people going to this round with 19 are Logan Taylor and Zan, I am coming for you, which is a very menacing melee name, by the way.
It is. I don't know. It makes me.
Yeah, I do like it a little bit. And Zan's the kind of guy where he's confident. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would see that and be like, why? I think Zan is somebody who's proud of his accomplishments and should be. So
Yeah.
I think he might giggle. I would wonder. I wish we could do a post-game interview to be like, how do you feel about someone saying, being Zan, I'm coming for you?
What a great question to ask. And Ashik is kind of doing that right now, establishing a good board presence with 3 characters, Calhoun, Bell, and Smee, and using a strength of Raging Fire to banish a Bell on Zan's side.
Someone voted out, said, hey, is this stream kind of choppy? Yeah. I've reached out. I'm trying to get some assistance to see if maybe it's something on their side, but it's both of us see it's choppy before we even stream it to you. So I don't think it's anything me or Clara could fix. But I am trying to reach out to the 20 lore folks, people on site. So you guys might not know this. I am in Colorado. This tournament is in Georgia. Clara is in Canada. So it is. This is an we're triangulating across the North American continent. But I think the problem is not something we can touch, unfortunately. All right. Forbidden Mountain, can you go down there and fix it really quick? I know you're in Pennsylvania, but I think you're closer than me and Clara. So if you could just run down there. Or just send Dick, although I think Dick went home. Oh, so we see the Calhoun. Calhoun is such a fun character because Calhoun is basically a watchdog. She's sitting there saying, I wouldn't. You want to quest with Tipo? I wouldn't. So Calhoun is also fragile, though. That's the only downside is, yes, she has resist 1, but she's public enemy number 1. People see Calhoun and they say, no, thank you. I would like to get rid of that stat. So unfortunately, on any deck with steel, Calhoun doesn't have as much fun. When I play Emerald, I don't have fun when Calhoun's on the board because I don't have anything to do about her other than go, stop! Because
Yeah.
she's a problem.
Well, usually, Calhoun, I use her at my advantage with characters with 4 willpower and just be like, oh, thank you. I challenge, I draw 3 cards. I have more options to deal with that card afterwards. But players know when they see Amber on the other side, they're like, no, no, no. I will not let you have your 3 cards with Rapunzel. They know the trick. We've done this since chapter 1, and it's a trick as old as time.
I know, bluffing and being like, huh? I like to make that sound. I don't recommend it. People don't think it's as funny as I do, but what you thinking? I bet you think you want to do that, right? All right. So let's see here. So to everybody tuning in, we are on game 2 of 3. So we are fighting for not necessarily the top 8. By not necessarily, I mean not the top 8. I mean the math doesn't work out. But we are fighting for the top 16 because whoever wins this might go home with $150, which I would like that very much.
Actually, we're on match game.
What did I say?
Game 3 of round 9.
Yeah. Oops.
Oops.
Listen, you count how many words we've said in the past 24 hours. It's too many words. So, but yeah, this is the last round before we cut to top 8.
That is quite the journey. Like any 9 rounds tournament plus top cut is just amazing. Like the DLCs, when you think about it is like a 9 rounds top to the in 2,000 people, it's like top 64. So on top of the top cut, it represents like 6 rounds.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about it, this is kind of the same amount of rounds as you have in a DLC. Now, generally, not everybody would still be able to play in the first 2. So DLC will cut the top 64, so then you have 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, and then the finals. In this case, we're doing the last 2 of the top of the Swiss, and then we go to 3 more rounds. So it's 1 less. There's 5 rounds today, 6 on a DLC. I think I did that right. But that's still a very long day. And it's kind of hard because you're going in today not knowing that you're going to make the top cut. You still have to keep fighting. In this case, like somebody was pointing out in the chat, no way he makes top 8. Yeah, no way. But he might make top 16, which still gets pricing.
So the cheering continues. And the cheering will always be there.
Yeah, Zan's in the chat. I have an emote that's Zan. So if you're a follower, you can Zan in the chat. That's a whole thing. We're all doing it. Not matching pricing on top 16 is rough. I don't know what you mean by that, Dan. What do you mean not matching pricing? Like matching? You'll explain it. I trust him. In the meantime, we see Ashik still doing some stabilization. 7, finish 7-2, and finish 17. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Zan's had a very, very, very interesting couple 9 rounds. So we look at his record. He's 6-2-0. He has only lost 2 of his 8 rounds prior to this. It was against, one was a Sapphire Ruby, which I always say backwards for reasons I don't understand, Ruby Sapphire. And the other one was his last round, round 6, which I'm sure some of you heard about on YouTube, where there was some things, judges, whatever, you guys can watch internet things on it. But his last round, he did lose against an Amber Steel classic songs deck. So he's had a very, very interesting, but I think the most deck he's faced has been this one we're seeing today. He's also won against Sapphire Steel, but we've watched a lot. I feel like it's been a lot of him in mirror matches, but now I'm not sure. I think he also beat a Ruby Sapphire at one point on stream that we saw. But Zan's a very cool player, by the way, in the sense that he will be very open. He does his own content where he talks about his decks, his choices, things like that. So I would highly recommend finding him on social media because he likes to talk about how he learns, how he builds decks. He's somebody that he has a metafy on how to play his deck, and then he also will make content. So if after this tournament you're like, I want to know more, obviously we won't be interviewing him because we are not there, but I am very sure there will be him talking about this tournament and what he learned and things like that. I'm not a Zan Stan. This is a Zan Cam. This is a Zan Stan fam cam. Okay, chat. If you're not a Zan Stan, why are you on the Zan Stan fan cam?
This is the Zantan.
Yeah, it rhymes. This is the stream. I mean,
It's big content.
also, if you watch somebody for 9 hours, you gotta become a fan, right? It's either you become a fan or an enemy. And yeah.
Yeah, no choice.
We watched Kendall, and now I'm the biggest Kendall fan. I was a big Kendall fan beforehand. So me and Clara covered Kendall's matches for Charlie's Collectible Showcase. Kendall was the previous 20 Lore Pro featured player, and it was great because at the end I was like, I understand Ruby Amethyst, but now it's bad because that deck, no one plays it anymore. They actually threw away all the cards from that deck. Yeah, it's like binging a show. We binged the Zan season 7. So we are looking at what we would call Zan winning. Zan did what he has done several times where he builds up pressure with items, dimes, and crabs. It happened, maybe we didn't commentate that as much, but like I said, we've been watching. This is our 9th game of watching. So Zan not only was winning, but he won this one, meaning that, no, Zan will not make the top 8, but he will very likely. So let's see. I'm curious what he played in this deck. I thought he was tech to Oswald. Such a good point. So he last weekend did have Oswald, but at this point, it does look like he switched out the major switch. We don't have his deck list yet. I'm sure he'll post it. It won't be in the top 8. Top 8's public, but he switched out Oswald into Hades, which Hades adds some end game removal, which has been very nice for him. He's used that to his advantage against some decks. But Claire, what are some of your thoughts? I'm just babbling.
Yeah. My thoughts is, I believe the either Sapphire removal or Steel removal are both targeting, like, they are choosing characters to trigger. So in that case, having ward characters will become more and more essential to any decks or any type of protection to deal with those kind of removal. We've seen ADs.
I felt like we saw one where he played a Hades and he played in a second Hades, but now it's all a blue blur, and I'm like, I don't know. What day is it? Who am I? Oh, he's signing a Diablo. I love that so much. So I know I can't say anything nice because then Waffle Stomps is going to say, "Oh, you're a Zan Stan," but he's really nice. So Zan famously was a piloted Emerald Steel to success. So this is a recent. I would say obviously Zan, the common denominator is Steel. He's a Steel player for sure. He was a Pride Lands Amber Steel fan. Then he ran Emerald Steel, and now he's playing Sapphire Steel. But I think Diablo is a card that people associate with him. Is there a deck that you're like, that's Zan's deck? So we know Amethyst is making it to the Final Four. Very exciting. Amethyst heads everywhere. Rejoice. But let's see here. Sapphire finals into the final. I think Sapphire in the finals. Yeah, Sapphire is in the finals. Yeah, Sapphire. Sorry. So Ruby Sapphire is back on the menu. Hope you guys are hungry. So yes, I will. I guess it's done now. Did I do it? Okay, everybody, final check. Are any of these people on a team? Because before I send this out, I don't want people to be like, Zeke the Beast is clearly on team Teletubbies forever, and you didn't put that. Lamb Chops, is Jonathan Lamb on any team? They said what on mainstream? Forbidden Mountain. I can't do this. I can't hear what you're saying, so all I know. Oh, these are the inks. Okay. So I just want to make sure, is Lamb Chops, is he on like a team? I just want to make sure that if somebody's on a team, I give him credit because I thought that was cute. Now I won't say anything until you respond, so all the pressure's on you. Okay, he's not doing it. So, all right, well, get out of here, Emerald Steel. I put it here. How sad is this that I had this Emerald Steel hanging out up here? Like, oh, don't worry, I'll put this somewhere. No, I didn't. I didn't end up using it at all. So delete that.
The overshadowing.
How devastating for Emerald Steel last weekend to have a Belle of the Ball moment and be like, wow, I guess actually I am a contender. And then this weekend they said, no, you're not. That was a fluke. Get out. They being everyone at this tournament, I assume.